Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of Weekly Insight. My name is Michael Hennessy. I'm the pastor of Cornerstone Church here in Epping, and if you're ever in our area, you're more than welcome to come and see us. The details of our church and where we're located, you can find out through the website, which is put up there on the screen at this present point in time. The last time we did one of these series, I spoke on the topic of call to reach, and every Christian has a call to reach other people. Now, let's be honest here. It doesn't matter how good you are, doesn't matter how dedicated you are, doesn't matter how good you are at reaching out to people. There are times when you come into a crisis. And in those times of crisis, you have to stop reaching out and instead you have to reach up. There's a story in the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 6. And I want to read this verse out to you because it illustrates the point where even Jesus, he stopped reaching out in order to reach up. Let me just read this verse for you in John chapter 8, verse 6. It says the following. It says, they asked Jesus this question because they wanted to test him and bring some charge against him. But Jesus simply bent over and started writing on the ground with his finger. Here's an example of Jesus. He was confronted with a crisis. He was under pressure. These Pharisees were trying to catch him out by asking him a difficult question about what they should do with a woman who was caught in adultery. And Jesus stops, doesn't answer straight away, but rather he starts writing in the sand, doodling, scribbling. If he was alive in the 21st century, he probably would have had a fidget spinner with him. But Jesus had stopped reaching out in order to reach up. It's something that every Christian needs to learn how to do from time to time. There was a movie that I really enjoyed watching. It was called Hacksaw Ridge, and the producer was Mel Gibson. Very good movie about a man called Desmond Doss. And Desmond Doss was the first person in American military history to be awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor in spite of the fact that he was a conscientious objector. He refused to carry a rifle and kill people in battle. And the movie Hacksaw Ridge is all about how this man who was involved in World War II, fighting when the Americans were fighting the Japanese, and how he saved 70 men through being a medic. And there's a particular part in that movie when he's up on this ridge, Hacksaw Ridge. There's a battle taking place between the Americans and the Japanese, and he's getting tired. He's found a way to lower men down from the top of the ridge down to the bottom of a cliff where they receive the medical attention that they need. He's getting tired, it's getting dark, and he just stops. And he asks God, what do I do here? He was reaching up. He stopped reaching out because he needed to reach up. And the movie shows how he got his answer from God, he renewed his strength, and he went back, and apparently he saved 70 American lives that particular evening. And it was a real feat of heroism without him even having to fire a gun. We all need to sometimes reach up in order to more effectively reach out. There's a story of a king, a really godly king in the history of the kingdom of Judah, and his name was Hezekiah. And Hezekiah, he was a good king. He was doing a really good job at reaching out, showing other nations how a nation could live under God. That was his way of reaching out. But he came under a crisis one day, and there was a king called Sennacherib who basically asked for tribute money. Hezekiah refused to give him the tribute money that Sennacherib desired or demanded from Hezekiah. And so Sennacherib came to Jerusalem where Hezekiah was ruling, and basically he seized the city and said to Hezekiah, look, no other kingdom has been able to resist me, and you are no exception. Don't think your God can help you. And we know that Hezekiah had to stop, and Hezekiah, he had to reach up. How did he do it? We can learn three things from Hezekiah's example, and I'm going to show you the three things that Hezekiah did that enabled him to reach up. So keep listening. Next week I'm going to put the first video up there as to how Hezekiah reached up, and how we as Christians, when we are reaching out, how we can stop and reach up and get help from God when it's needed. God bless you, and we'll see you next week. See ya. Bye.